So excited to be starting this live. So excited. I've been reading this book like seriously fast and furious. I'm so excited to, be welcoming the Money Witch into this live. So hopefully she'll see this shortly and pop on in. Mercury has gone direct and out of the microwave and hopefully will be behaving. And because the last couple of lives that we've been doing have been a little bit persnickety, that is for sure. So we'll see how it goes here. I'm going to look and see if I see her in the live. Not yet. So let's see how it goes. Give her a little bit of time to log in. My phone, for whatever reason, has anybody ever had that thing with their phone where it says that there's water in the charging port? Because that's literally what happened to me today, and it didn't want to charge. So I'm sort of holding my phone with one hand because I could not get my phone to charge. It kept like yelling at me today saying there's water in the port. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? So I don't know if anybody has had that experience with their iPhone, but that was literally me today. So I'll just give Jessie some time to pop on. Oh, Jaden misses coming into the store. Oh no, we miss them too. Hope they're doing so well at their new school, their new place. So exciting. So good. So how's everybody been doing? While we're waiting for the Money Witch to join in, let's chat about the upcoming sale this Friday, which is going to be back at the warehouse. And that's good for all of you people that are local as well as shipping customers. I know I do need a back charger because we're shipping, but the most exciting part about this sale is that for every $20 purchase you make, you're entered to win those 2 gigantic, beautiful amethyst cathedrals valued at like $1,000. So you guys, like, this is, even if you buy something for $20, it's going to be amazing and sparkly because like this warehouse is like our best like amethyst and quartz warehouse. He has like the best of the best. And we're so excited that we are able to that he was able to donate those amethysts to us and that we're able to just pass them on to you and give them away. Like, how exciting is that? Like, that's like $1,000 value. And you get not 1 cathedral, but 2, like, and they're a matching pair. Like, holy cow. I can't wait to see the winner. Hi, Sarah. I can't wait to see the winner and I can't wait to see how they put it in their house. Like, so excited. So excited. So I hope everything is okay with Jessie, the Money Witch, because we are scheduled to meet. Oh, there they are. Hi, hello. Let me get you into the live. How do I do this? Hold on. I'm going to do it now. I got you. I'm going to invite you. Fingers crossed, because sometimes Instagram is Instagramming. That's all I have to say about that. And I think she's had her fit on the app of Instagram. Up here comes the dog right behind my shoulder. I see her. Of course, she's going to start barking. I'm going to invite you again, Jessie. Hopefully this works. Let's see. I just invited you in. Do you need to come in and bark at me? What are we doing? What are we doing? Can you not go in my purse and steal? Let's not do that. So hopefully this is up. Let's see. Accept. Please work. Stop it. Let's do it again. We might have to restart the live and try it again because, okay. I'm gonna stop this live Jessie, and let's start another one, you guys, because I don't know. I'll try to do it one more time. I am accepting it, but I don't know what is happening. Accept. I don't know why Instagram is being. Oh, Kazaa!
Hi! I'm so glad it wasn't showing up at all. I was like, why can't I join? And then I went on the computer and you were like, anyway, whatever. It's a boring story. No one needs to hear it.
It's fine. I figured, like, honestly, I don't know what is going on with Instagram lately, but it has been like very annoying you're our third or fourth one of these author chats, so thank you so much for joining us, but it has been a battle every single time.
Instagram stays annoying. I just like don't expect anything different. Your nails are fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much.
Ooh, so amethysty.
We can talk about this because I've been reading your book. I'm not through all of it, but I'm halfway through. But
Excellent.
Before I have a Capricorn rising, so I have a really good habit of just jumping right into it and not doing the social niceties. So I will introduce myself first. So you're like, who is this talking head? Hi, Jessie. My name is Dina. I'm co-owner of Amityville Apothecary. We're located in Amityville, New York, which is on the South Shore of Long Island, about an hour east of Manhattan. So we're a suburb of Manhattan, just to give you the lay of where we are.
My high school boyfriend actually was raised in Amityville. So, because I grew up in South Florida, so there's like a strong like New York.
Of course there is. That's actually amazing. Okay. And you all,
I texted him. Maybe he'll pop on.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you all, I want to give a strong welcome of excitement to the Money Witch, author of Money Magic. I need to get the little practical wisdom and empowering rituals to heal your finances. And I feel like this is such a timely talk because here we are in Virgo season, and it's a good time to start talking about like organizing our money, making goals, especially in advance of the bleeding of the wallet, aka the holiday season. Right? So thank you so much for joining on this live and talking with us tonight. We're so excited. Everybody's buzzing with excitement. Michelle's on here. She's so excited. She like squealed when she found out you were going to be on the live. So give us a little bit of a taste. Like, I read the story that you shared with us in the book as to why you decided to sort of get a handle on your money and your finances, and, you know, pulling it through the lens of shadow work and the magical and the mystical. But give us a little background on you, your book, why you came to write it, and what you're all about.
Okay, so my journey into being the Money Witch and my interest in kind of like money and helping other people get their money together, and I'm really more of like just this almost existential curiosity about like why are we struggling? You know what like, why is it hard? You know, and because there's books and there's blogs and there's, you know, like if you want to learn how to budget or do your taxes or whatever, like you can do it. So it's like, but people.
Oh no. Can you hear me? Up? No, wait. Okay. I think I hear you now. Okay. Great. I got you. Okay.
And I'm like, why? I just got so curious. And I was, you know, I had gotten started in some small business. And I come from a sex work background, mostly working in strip clubs. And I was in like early 2000s, I was working at a club where we all got laid off and we got the opportunity to buy the club as a worker-owned cooperative. So then I was like in a business, you know, I don't know if I would have bought a business, but it's like God, you know, brought me to this moment to like buy a business. So I was just doing it and learning so much. And then I got involved in worker-owned cooperatives more generally. And I just was really curious. And I was also involved in a lot of activism at the time. And I just was like, why are we all struggling with money so much? Like, and it's so depressing because it's like, these are people who are so passionate about what they're doing, that have all this passion about, you know, small business, alternative economy, like, you know, justice and liberation for all people. And like, we're just can't, we're just living in deep scarcity. Like almost everybody's living in really deep scarcity. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I went through my own sort of, you know, tower card moment where we got evicted. I had a 3-year-old, I got divorced, and I was just like, what am I going to do? So, and I hadn't been working. I had been staying home for about 3 years with my kid. I was really pregnant sick when I was pregnant. And so, you know, I just had my own, like, how the hell am I going to do this? And I live in San Francisco. It's like one of the most expensive cities on earth. So I was like, I have to figure this out. So, you know, there's sort of like my journey of being like, I have to get it together. And then, you know, the path, the like interesting, meandering, weird path that like spirit led me on to be like, you know, connected with small business, interested in money, and just passionate about like, truly my passion is like, I want people to experience less suffering in their relationship with money and in their lives in general. And, you know, financial scarcity and having a tumultuous relationship with money is like one of the major things that causes suffering in people's lives. And I really think that, I don't think it's totally avoidable because of the economic systems that we live in. But I think that we have the opportunity and the kind of responsibility to ourselves to try to work on what we can internally to like alleviate as much internal suffering as we possibly can. So that's the goal. That's my money, you know, aim is like, how can you have a more peaceful relationship with money and therefore probably have more of it, you know?
Right. I think, you know, I think that's what's so for those of you that have the book, because I know quite a few of you bought it from us, or if you don't, it is available. You can still buy this up on our website. If you have an idea of what you think this book is, because this is money magic on the cover, that is just going to be a bunch of spell work. There's exercises and there's correspondence in here, yes, but it's not a book of money spells. This is about fixing your relationship with money on such a deep level. And I have to I'm snapping because I can't clap, but because I'm holding the phone with my other hand. But I want to say that this is the first sort of woo-woo witchy money book, maybe it's the only one, that I've read where it really talks about the relationship that we have with money and the energy of money and being honest with ourselves and where we came from, either, you know, how we were raised, our families of origin, our life circumstances, instead of it being just like, just get in alignment with the energy. And if you put it out there into the vortex, that thing that you want will come to you. Like that's, I've always found that level of manifestation to be so incredibly disingenuous.
Absolutely.
And
well, it's like spiritual bypassing. It just, and in that, right, it's not even like we could use a term and be like, that's problematic, but it's just also like, it's just not accurate.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that's a cool idea. And, you know, I'm sure I have played with some of that stuff, you know, because it's like, and it can be cool. Like, I want to like lay on my yoga mat and timeline jump and like, you know, like, and I do find that stuff like, invigorating and like, you know, it can help me for sure. It's a tool, right? But it's like, that's not gonna cut it. Like, it's just like not gonna hold the whole complexity of like what people are bringing to their relationship with finances. It's just like, it's a bit of like one dimension, you know, which I'm like, dimensions are all valuable. So being in one dimension can be helpful and valuable. And then also though, like if you really want to get into it, you have to be looking at all these different dimensions.
Right. I mean, all the dimensions and also the action, but and then also the information. I love how you start off in the book, like, let's lay out the picture of your finances and let's really take a hard look. You're saying that you likely want more money, right? So how do we get more money? Well, let's first take care of what we have, what we're bringing in. What does our financial picture look like? And I have to tell you today, and I don't know, I want you guys in the comments to respond if you do this too. And I'm going to full on say that I have a lot of privilege with the fact that, like, there can be weeks that go by at the moment where I'm like, I'm going to hope that this ATM card swipes and I'm not looking. As long I'm not looking to see what the balance is.
I want you to look. But
I know. So I looked today. We all have to do better at looking at what's going on. I looked today and I was like, you need to look. We need to look.
Yeah.
Because it still exists whether we see it or not.
Exactly. Well, and then the looking is like the intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I've been really focused on, I started, it's a membership program, but I call it my cult because I don't like,
love it.
It sounds better. I love it. It feels more resonant. But I have a cult called Money Coven, and it's like, you know, a daily and multiple times a month thing where we're like meeting and talking about things. And I'm like, it's based on financial shadow work, which is a lot of what the book is, but paired, like you're saying, with the practical pieces. But a lot of the invitation that I feel like, you know, when you make something, you have an idea of what it's going to be, but then it's like morphs into its own thing as well. And I'm like, it's been about presence, like being more present with your money, because it's just like anything. If you want a better relationship with money, just like if you want a better relationship with your kids, your partner, your parents, your friends, whatever, the literal number one thing you have to do before anything else can happen is show up.
Right.
Consistently.
Right. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. We would show up in a relationship with people.
And it is a relationship.
Yeah.
I had a joke with a client this week because she's like very good at making money, you know, and I've been working with her over the years. So I've seen her like really level up, and she's like really leveling up how much money she makes. But, you know, in debt, spending a lot. And, you know, she kind of, it's like when it's like, okay, how are we going to fix this problem? She tends to that kind of like, well, I'm just going to like try to make more money side, which I get. I have that tendency too.
That's a mantra.
I have that.
That's a mantra.
If you're a hustler type person, then you're just like, I don't know, I'll just make some more money.
Just money, make more.
Make more.
Right.
But I was like, you know, we came up with this thing we were laughing about, but I thought it was so poignant where I was like, don't be that guy. Because what if someone was like going out of their way to like go on a date with you, get in a relationship with you, get back together with you, you know, lure you into relationship, and then was like not intentional or thoughtful with how they were treating you?
Good point.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Good point. No,
you know
exactly
I mean?
the same
so
thing.
That was the like, I was like, don't be that guy. Like, don't be that guy who's like, oh, money come to me, like money, you know, magnetized to me, like I want more money, like come into my life. And I'm like, and then you're just gonna be like, but I'm just gonna ignore you. And like, no.
Yeah, that's actually, you know, that's actually a really good point. I think a lot of us do that. And I don't know, maybe like a lot of women do that. And I don't know how much of that, and like, again, like from the financial shadow work angle, how much of the stories we tell ourselves about money, especially as women, it's really uncomfortable because it's not womanly or becoming to strive for money, or to be, even still now in 2023, like wanting to, you know, be aware, present, and, you know, and Bella's calling me out saying that it's just money, make more for me. But it's true. Like how much of, like, for example, my personal relationship with money is my mother's experience and seeing her and seeing my grandmother, and always like money going through the fingers, right? Like, or spending money. How many of us spend the money before we have it?
Yeah.
but right? Like,
right. Like, oh, I'm going to get this money. It's coming in. Yeah.
right. So, we're like earmarking all of our money and then we never have any because we spent it before we got it. It's just amazing, that level of work. I'm currently in the setting of the money intentions portion of the book.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much halfway in now. And I think that's another thing that, especially those of us in metaphysics and in witchcraft, have to have a conversation about, is knowing it's critically important to know what we want.
Yeah.
Because how do we decide how we're getting there, whether in spell work or in action?
Yes. And specific, and like with money, numbers, not just like, I want to make more money. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, it's so funny too, because for me, and I don't know if this is for you as somebody that, helps people with their money, if it's easier for you to have conversations about other people's money than your own, because I could talk about other people's money all day.
I could talk about my own money all day, and I try to be transparent. To me, it's important. Like, I'm not an expert, obviously working in the financial field, there's been multiple times where people are like, oh, we want to position you as an expert. So it's like when I did YouTube or my book, or we're positioning you as expert, and I'm like, I don't want to be positioned as an expert. I want to be positioned as a guide, because I know, number one, a huge amount of the work that I do is channeled through spirit. Like, I'm a vessel, just like everyone, right? It's like, I'm a vessel. I am a healer. I am a financial healer. How did it happen? I don't know. It's not like I was like, you know what I want to do? I'm going to be a financial healer. It's just like, here we are, and I'm really good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
Does that mean, sometimes people are like, oh, did you get your own finances totally together, before you started guiding people? And I'm still, my finances are still in flux. I have my own financial stuff. And just like a lot of healers, I put off my own stuff. I take care of other people's stuff, and I put off my own stuff. And because I work in the realm of money, I put off my own stuff. So I joke, like, I used to be a tax preparer, and for multiple years, and I just quit like 2 years ago. But it's like, my tax return would be like the last one that I did at Extension every year, because I'm just like, I'm taking care of everybody else. I'll get to mine. So,
but that's the case with most healers in general. Like you said, like as working with people to heal their relationship with money, as a money healer, I think it's so beneficial for those that we're working with to understand that we've been through the process and that we've had the dark night of the soul, wherever that's related to, whether, being on the balls of your ass financially, or, being broken down, confused, not knowing what your next step is, having like your life. I always call it like when you're in the car and you're driving and you step on the brakes too hard and your purse falls off the passenger seat, and all the shit falls out, and like your favorite lipstick's under the seat, never to be seen from again. And then you're like putting your purse back together. Like, that happens to my life. Like, fucking everything dumped out, and I'm like, okay, like, now we got to put everything back. So Michelle said shoemakers' kids have no shoes.
I saw that.
It's true. But I also think it brings so much more value that you're a real person. Like, it's very easy to be a financial money healer if your finances are in order, because you got a fucking $250,000 inheritance. And so, of course, like, or you could say that
even just you're like a rule follower and you figured it out, and honestly, I'm jealous. Like, I'm jealous of those babes who are in my inbox who are like, I did this and I did this, you know what I mean? And I have to figure it out. And now I'm making, $250,000 a year from my food blog, and I'm married.
Good for you.
And, and now I'm like, want to empower everybody else too. I'm like, but I'm just like, I'm in it. Like, I'm in the trenches with everybody else.
Like,
and
the person who's like 19 years old that already started putting $20 a week into their IRA.
Exactly.
Like, good for you. Like, like you get that speech and you're like, I'm going to do it. And then you're like, but I also need to eat food.
Exactly. Or it's just, hard. Or like, you know, that's the thing about the emotional side is like, this is real life. You know, this has been a number of times. So I've had my cult for, you know, now 8 months. And there's been a handful of times in there where people are like, sorry, I fell off for a couple of months. Like this tragedy happened in my life. And I just basically like went on a financial bender, you know? And now I'm like trying to get it together.
I mean, how many of us do that though? Like, you know, and so, you know, let's see. I want to look at my notes because I'm a book writer.
I know we could just chit chat forever.
I write in the book. I'm one of those people.
Well, while you're looking, I can say the book is based, it's a 7-step system. So it's 7 steps to healing your finances. You know, and that's what I focus on: financial healing in your financial world, not necessarily like getting it together and, you know, having a plan. I'm not a financial planner, you know, although I have skill sets from a variety, you know, taxes, some financial planning, bookkeeping, small business, etc. But it's like, you know, really what the invitation is to go on a journey and stop being afraid of digging into like what's in the underneath of your finances. Because I think once you get into that, once you do the process, once you do the journey, then those day-to-day things aren't gonna, not necessarily that they're easy, but they're not gonna feel so mystifying, intimidating, terrifying, you know what I mean? All those things that it's like, I can't, you know, and that intentionality piece is massive. Like even just being able to, the next time something really fucked up happens, have a little bit of more intentionality of like, hey, do you want to do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you want, like, just bringing that little bit more of intentionality, which is ultimately what we gain in healing any area of our life, right? Like relationships, parenting, our body, etc. Like we're like, oh yeah, okay, let me just insert that little moment that allows me to be able to be acting in my power fully.
And it seems that our relationship with our own money and our finances is one of those ways where many of us give up our power. We so easily hand it over to others to manage because it's so uncomfortable to us.
Yeah, which on a practical level can mean getting totally screwed over. Because if you don't have the skill set or the presence to be co-creating, you know, with your bookkeeper, tax preparer, lawyer, manager, etc., then that's not an empowered position. Right.
And how can we, and if we're going to bring it back to, you know, the witch / magic / metaphysical, we can't make anything happen. We can't direct our energy without knowledge and without the information, without the clear intentionality, the intent of what we're looking to do. It's like when people come to our shop, we have like a spell jar station and we have, you know, little pre-made herb mixes with the correspondences, the crystals ready to go, the oils, etc. But there's 4 options. There's abundance / luck, manifestation, like that realm. There's love, there's protection, and then there's intuition. And inevitably, multiple times a week, somebody says, I want all of these things.
That's what I was like, I
want all of these things. And I said, well, the more diluted the intention or the spell, the more diluted the result is. So how are you even going to know when the thing comes to you? Because you're like, I just want a little bit of knowing and a little bit of money and a little, right? So then like you find 50 cents on the floor, you got to hit on, you know, you're like, oh, call Rebecca. You call Rebecca. Rebecca's like, I was just thinking about you, right? So like you get
go
these
on
little
one
things.
Tinder date.
Right. Right. But like, it's, so I always tell people it's so critically important to know that intentionality. But I think as people, what we often know is what we don't want. We don't want to be broke. We don't want to be in the struggle. So if you ask people, tell me what you want, what does that look like? Because I was going through, you know, the chapter that I'm in now of the figure out what you want, what you really, really want. And I tell you, I have a hard time coming up with like, all right, what is it that you want? Like exactly specifically.
Yeah.
Specifically, what do you want financially?
Yep.
You know, for me, I'm like, I'm good enough now. I'm not struggling. I got, you know, it's fine. I got a roof over my head. I have a toilet bowl that flushes, one of the miracles of modern science. Like, I think if you have indoor plumbing, you are like, if you don't appreciate indoor plumbing.
My father and my grandfather are plumbers.
Like,
so I definitely appreciate indoor
plumbing. There you go. You know, so like part of that, like feeling greedy to ask for more or to think, or like, it would be nice if, or I want this. So there's a lot of that. And I know that's a lot for probably people that are watching, but getting really specific, like why do we wake up every morning and do the grind that we do? To what end?
Yeah, I think too needs, I mean, the blocks, right? So after intentionality, you know, the system of the book, it's kind of like a journey model. It's like you figure out where you are now, you get ready to go on a journey, you figure out where you are now, you figure out where you want to go, you set your intention, so you're getting like clear about the path. And then once you start going, if it was just that easy, it would have happened already.
Right, right.
So once you start going, you're gonna encounter blocks. You know, there's rough terrain. You're gonna have to deal with some rocky geography. And I think of it very much like, for anyone who's a parent or has spent time with kids, or I think of it like Dora the Explorer, you know, where it's like, she's like, I have to go to Abuela's house to like make a pumpkin pie. And then she's like, oh, but there's a troll and there's a
swiper.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we have to deal with it, you know? And then it's like, it's exactly the same, because it's like, okay, once you figure out what the block is, then you can identify what tools you need and you can use them. But the whole reason you weren't going on the journey in the first place is because you knew there was scary stuff out there. Do you know what I mean? You knew there was blocks. You knew it was going to be hard. But it's like, okay, it's hard. There's blocks. But what are they? Like, what are they? Because you can get past them, and you can get past them using a variety of tools, right? And if you read the beginning, so I have it, my Money Witch 3 Angles of Healing. It makes a little triangle. It's on my website too, for anyone who wants to, but you can find the little graphic.
I got it.
But it's like, we're exploring things from like the spiritual emotional lens. We're looking at that practical logistical that your, Capricorn rising loves so much. They matches your nails. The ink matches your nails. It's so good.
It does.
But then we can also remember that we have that magical angle too, right? So it's like we can put our energy towards it. And to me, magic is taking responsibility for your energy and using it intentionally, right? So we set our intention, and then we also recognize that every other entity has an energetic power as well. And we can ask for them to ally with us in our intention. So this is like, to me, that's what it means to use a crystal or an herb, or, and I wouldn't even want to say use, I want to say like be in relationship with, or like be in allyship with, because we're saying like, I think you could really, your energy could help me get to my intended goal. Will you help me? Right. And just like, I think of those things, plants, crystals, spirits, bird and animals, ancestors. It's like your friends. You have certain friends that you call for certain reasons, right? Like if you want dating advice, you call someone. If you want advice about, what to wear, you call somebody. If you want advice about like your teenager, you call somebody. And it's the same, with our energetic entities too. But we have to be really clear about like exactly where we're going and who's gonna help us get there.
Absolutely. In your cult, right? In your cult, like I'm assuming that there are going to be themes that have been coming up. So for people that are watching right now, they're like, oh my God, like my money is so fucked. Like, how would you, like, obviously get the book and start reading and being honest with yourself,
Yeah,
getting the information and putting
honestly.
it on the table. But like, what are some of like the other like really digestible sort of like bits that people can take if they're like feeling like really overwhelmed?
I think, well, the first thing I want to say with overwhelm is validate that money is often connected with trauma. Even if you don't think you have money trauma, the culture that we live in is economically traumatized. You know, like racial capitalism is that's like economic
Yeah.
trauma. So
Yeah.
it's like you're swimming in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so even if it's like you're picking it up energetically or whatever, like just the whole concept can be so fraught.
Yeah.
And there's past stuff, right? It's like what happens in your lineage,
Yeah.
things you're not even thinking about, right? Because you're not as like in touch with. But so really validating that this stuff is linked to your nervous system.
Yeah.
And there's so much like with like willpower ethic, which is really this colonial idea of like, oh, if you are a good person, you'll demonstrate that by just trying harder and like getting it right this time, basically,
Yeah.
And it's like that is so embedded in the way we think about money that we're just like, if I have to do this, I just have to like tough it out. You know what I mean? Like if I can't do it, it's like I'm not tough enough. And the only thing I can do is just like toughen up more. But I think like this is your nervous system, right? So taking it really seriously that like what are the things you already know about what you can do for your nervous system? Whatever, if that's nervine herbs, if that, in a tincture, if that's you've done some exercises and you know how to just whatever, if that's doing a little
Right.
meditation to just like, I feel safe, I'm in my safe place, I'm grounded, whatever it is that is like the work you've already done, the tools you already have that kind of get you calm, grounded,
Right.
and, get your nervous system, like have a little snack, have a cup of tea,
Right.
whatever it
Absolutely.
is, right? So really, I think like try doing that, like try giving yourself a couple minutes of self-care before you broach money, right? Like do a couple minutes of self-care before you check your bank account balance. Do a couple minutes of self-care before you log into your student loan repayment portal, these kinds of things, because it's gonna just turn the volume down a little bit to allow you to actually even absorb the information.
That's true. You actually do have these great little moments that you weave through, like the mindfulness moments and different little meditations. Like, so if people have difficulty, with self-care, um, like taking that time, like I think a lot of times too, like we are so wrapped up, like we have such a nervous system response to our finances. So we push them off and push them off and push them off right before tax time. We're like, oh my God, I have to get together 12 months of receipts. And then it's like, yeah, like, right? Like, so I love the idea of like taking a moment and understanding where you are in your nervous system and like your flight or fight reflexes, because that's totally kicking in.
Fawn and freeze, right? So it's fight, flight, fawn, freeze. Freeze is massive in the way that people deal with money. It's just like that's that like checking out, glazing over, I'm avoidance, all of that stuff. So I used to kind of say like my number one guidance for people would be just like what I call financial intimacy, like get close with your money, just bring it closer. But intimacy is scary, and the reason it's scary is because of our nervous systems, right? Like because so it's just like actually the pre-step to that is like just tend to your nervous system a little bit, and then be willing to try to be closer with your money.
Right. And I think, like you said in the book too, like looking at it without judgment on yourself for, you know, for example, if you have credit card debt, and it's something that like I've really recently, as you know, as a small business owner, as a small business owner, you look at finance when you're a business, when you're a corporation, your relationship and the way you look at money is different. The lens is different than when it's an individual. So, for example, having a line of credit in a business and using that liquidity instead of your cash is sometimes my accountant suggests to do that.
Yeah.
However,
and believe me, every company,
right,
you know what I mean? Procter and Gamble's not
right, they're using credit, but God forbid, as individuals, because of whatever this sort of like Judeo-Christian thing about debt that's been like instilled in us, for us to have debt, we're automatically thinking that we're bad people.
Yeah.
And then forget it if it's student debt, you know, if you can't educate yourself enough to get into a higher paying, better job, you should have gone to school. But also, why did you put yourself in debt to do the thing that we told you to do? It's such this horrible catch-22 that people find themselves in, and there's so much guilt associated with doing something that almost like we're taught is dirty.
Yeah. And, you know, people feel shame because they feel like, oh, this is somehow this is me. This is my fault.
Yeah.
This is just me, you know? And number one, like you're saying specifically about student loans, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the system,
Yeah.
you know, it's set up in that way. So it's like, number one, there's that. We're living in the midst of a really messed up system, you know? And then it's like, we are doing the best we can. And also, we're not perfect.
Right.
Like, we make mistakes, and we're also not stagnant. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, maybe you did do something dumb with money when you were 18. I did.
Right. Or maybe you didn't do anything dumb with money and you were a saver your whole life and put all of the recommended allotments into the funds and maxed out your 401ks and maximized Roth, and you went to retire out at a shit year.
Yeah.
Because that could happen.
Yep.
There's no guarantees.
Yep.
Right? I just, you know, getting through the part of the book of the shadow work and the ideas of the money, the feelings that come up around money, looking at our families, the way we were raised, how money was treated, how did we see money, you know, being treated as we were kids. I mean, you know, I remember my mom being so nervous about like just feeling okay, I don't know if my mom really felt this way, but I'm going to tell you what my perception was.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's all I can see. I can't really know exactly, but
yeah.
My perception of her was that she was so frightened around money because there wasn't enough of it, and she was so nervous around it, and she, you know, was always just like there was so much anxiousness around money, and not having enough, and like I remember when Danielle and I decided to make this business 5 years ago. And I told my mom, I didn't tell her, by the way, right away. Like I didn't tell her I signed a lease. And by the way, this is my second business. I did the same thing the first time where I signed a lease. I made the business and like told her nothing because I knew that if I had the conversation with her about it, that she would try to talk me out of it. And I knew that it was good. But I remember when I finally told her, she's like, are you sure that's going to make money? And I'm like, it's going to make no money. That's why I'm doing it, you know? like, but part of me recognizes now in reading your book that also part of me not telling her and not being honest about what I was doing was because I was also afraid.
Yeah.
You know, of taking that leap and taking a risk. And not like, is it responsible? And how many times do we do that where we make decisions and we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to be honest with ourselves in the moment?
Well, and there's always someone who's going to reflect our deepest fears back to us,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's like, if you know, like, okay, this person's going to say to me the thing that already hits on an insecurity
Yeah.
that I have, it's like, you know, you're especially not going to want to hear that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. But I think power in sort of having that understanding that like this is where I go with money.
Oh, yeah, the
Really interesting. Yeah,
self-awareness,
the self-awareness.
huge. The self-awareness of like this, you know, and knowing how much of that patterning came from your family, right? You
Yeah,
know, so you're just like, this is going to be exasperated by like going deeper into the root of the same pattern,
yeah,
you know? Like, I'm nervous, but this person's even more
right,
nervouser. So
right.
it's like going in is not, you know, that's not the place.
And what I really love, speaking to like our feelings around money and shame. What chapter is this? It's still in step one. It's page 44. And I like highlighted this and started. Like I am obsessed with this. Shame is internalized oppression, which like to me, that was like such a permission slip from you to be like, why am I like, there's so much oppression in the world. Why do I have to join in oppressing myself on top of everything else that's going on? Please don't lose your. And you're right, there's so much shame around money. Amazing. Can you hear me or
Oh,
no?
now I can.
Oh,
Now
okay.
I can.
Oh, so what I was saying is page 44, shame is
Yeah.
internalized
Yeah.
oppression. Please don't lose your precious life force to shame. I like would wear this on a t-shirt.
It is, I mean, it's like, I feel like a huge part of my purpose is in this kind of like anti-shame work, because that's so much a part
Yeah.
of the money work, you know? And I feel like, yeah, I want to have some like, you know, PSA, like Nancy Reagan, you know, I want to like campaign of like, you know, I don't know, like Tipper Gore, or like whoever
Oh my
has
God.
these like massive like public health, you
Yeah.
know, campaigns that it's just like, you know, PSA everywhere, just like shame is the hugest waste of time. It is just a massive drain on your spiritual power, on your, you know, life force. And by spiritual power, I mean like your spirit, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that manifests in every way, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever. It's like, it's just, you are on purpose, you know what I mean? Like, you are sacred, you are a miracle, like nothing about you is wrong.
Yeah.
And we have to like operate from that place, because there's so many ways where we're operating from this like almost like apologizing before we do it, you know? And
Yeah.
Marissa had commented a little while back, right before you know, we switched
Mm-hmm.
topics, like, and said women are also really discouraged from taking risks, you
Yeah.
know? So it's almost like, you know, with your mom, or it's like this kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I want to start a business and it might, you know, or like, I'm sorry, I want to go into debt. Like, oh, I know it's bad, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, who cares? Even if
True.
you have a business that fails, or you try something and it doesn't work, it's just like, it's okay. Like,
Right.
what is the big deal? Like, it's like, yeah, there'll be a mess and you'll have to clean it up,
Right.
but okay.
So you do.
You know what I, yeah, right?
Right.
It's like, it reminds me of, you know, when kids are raised kind of like, you know, they're always wearing like super pressed clothes, you know, and it's like, oh, well, don't, you know, you're wearing this dress, so like, don't go in the
Mm-hmm.
mud. And it's like, no, life is not meant to be lived like that. Like, we have to be able to be like okay, you can have messes and you can clean them up. You're capable of cleaning them up. And a mess happening in your life is not like the worst thing that could ever happen, because that's what allows us to like get creative and pursue our path.
Right. Our path
We're
and
so
our dreams.
yeah, we're
And our
so
passions.
afraid of like,
Yeah.
you know, fucking it up, or like we're saying, you know, looking stupid, getting in debt, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, failing, being judged by our families or whatever, that it's like we're not even living fully into like what it is that we're here to do, which means
Right.
we're gonna have to get reborn again, and it's a little rough out here. So, you know, I know a lot of us are hoping this might be our last time on Earth.
Except to me, because I weirdly like it here. I don't know. I like it here.
It's rough.
It is rough,
but I do like it.
But I think, but again, like I think to your point, like how many of us, you know, my daughter is in her senior year of high school. She's turning 17 in a few weeks. She's looking at colleges, and she and I get, it's so funny. Like we butt heads so much, because she will say, I think I want to go to school for this because it's a good job and it pays well. And I'm like, no, wrong thinking. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what comes easy to your brain? Like, what do you like? What are you passionate about? Like, it's so interesting, because how many of the people that are watching, or that you work with, or that I work with, feel so chained to jobs and day-to-day existences that they absolutely abhor. They hate their job. They got into it because they thought that it would give them some type of payday, but it's like sucking their soul out.
Well, it's a promise. So here's the thing, right? And this is what we're hoping to get from our parents, and we're hoping to get by like this is a colonial mythology. I was talking about this recently with somebody, right? Like that's like the American dream mythology. Like if you do XYZ and you follow these rules and you know what I mean, you get good grades and you study and you do this, and then you get into the best college, and then you'll get the high paying job, and then you'll buy the house, and you know, if you do this, you'll get rewarded. And it's like, what, you know, that's not been accessible to a lot of people,
right?
Ever. And I would say even people to whom identity wise perhaps that could have been viable 50 years ago, it's like less and less viable, right? So there's this crumbling of like, that's not even a true thing. But if you look at like how much we're just like chasing this reward, like if I do this, I'll get this, you know what I mean?
And then I'll be happy.
Then I'll be happy. And
yeah.
Some of it's like not even conscious, right? Because some of it's not even like, I'll get the house, I'll get the, you know, job. Some of it's like, I'll be a good person. You know, my mom will approve. You know, the IRS will think I'm a good person, like things that don't even make
like,
sense.
Who even cares?
You know, Suze Orman will think I'm a good person. You know, like, yeah, exactly. Like, I'll listen to Dave Ramsey and I'll be like, I don't have any of these problems that these people have, because you know, I'm doing all the right things. And there's this like validation of that. But it's like, what are you, at what price? Like, what are you willing to pay in life force, in your life, the hours of your life, in happiness, in mental health, in emotional health, in spiritual health? Like, what are you willing to pay to get a reward, to get a little cookie from, you know, your mom or the IRS?
Because there is no reward. But there isn't even a reward, because the last time I checked, the IRS didn't give out certificates and accommodations to people. They don't give a shit.
No, they really don't.
And I love the IRS because people are so afraid of them, and I still don't know for why.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, they're not gonna. People think the IRS
do anything. You're not like, going to jail. They're not gonna
bang down your door. They don't even have working software.
I mean, the state will bang down your door, but the IRS won't.
That's actually true. I know the state is so much more aggressive. I live in California. California state's really aggressive. Like,
same with New York.
Definitely going after their money way before the IRS will.
Same with New York. New York, you best be paying your sales tax, because they will be getting it. But you know, it's so funny. A lot of people, Oh, goodness. No, but your mother could falsely claim you after kicking you out in a pandemic and you
I
couldn't blame
know,
her. Yeah,
financial abuse, but yeah.
yeah, it happens. It happens, and it happens to so many people. Like, I know so many people in my family that, you know, that has happened to, social security numbers get borrowed, you know, and you're ruined before you're even of age.
Yeah. It's a term people, I feel like in my experience with financial abuse, a lot of clients that I've worked with that I'm like at some point, um, I'm kind of like, how do you feel about the term financial abuse? People are like,
Yeah,
I never would have thought of that, or I never would have
right.
like
No, I've
those
never heard that
on.
term,
Yeah,
but it's
just like
huge.
and we just don't always have like a full grasp on what abuse really is, right? Or it's
Hmm.
like, or we don't want to leverage those terms, right? But
Right. Absolutely. We don't want to leverage those terms. We don't want to, again, going back to shame,
yeah,
you know, so many times, like, we take personal responsibility for the abuse that is not our fault,
yeah.
and victim shamed and things like that. So,
And families in partnerships, I mean, people
mhm.
deal with all kinds of crazy stuff. On a total sidebar, if you go to my website and you go to the books tab, at the way bottom, I have a free
Ooh,
like ebook that I wrote. I did a workshop and wrote this little book with North Carolina Coalition for Domestic Violence, but it's
amazing.
like about healing from financial abuse.
Amazing.
So, it does come from like that DV perspective, but I think like there's a lot in there that, if you have struggled with financial abuse and in which can even just be like impacting your
Yeah.
self-esteem. You know what I mean? Like having someone make you feel bad about money or, you know, financial disempowerment, financial dominance. Like all of these things are forms of economic and financial abuse. So
Absolutely.
I think anyway, so if that resonates with anyone, that
Well,
resource is there.
thank you so much for sharing that, because
Yeah.
I think there are definitely people in this talk
Who need it?
and in the replay
Yeah.
that are going to, number one, need to hear that. I just think the term financial abuse is enlightening. And I think it's so important that we give ourselves the language to describe what we're going through. Because when we talk about it, when we acknowledge it, when we name it, we can heal it and we can change it
Yeah.
or work with it in some way.
Well, language is a form of healing. I think like being able to name your experience, and it all depends, right? I have an air sign moon, so it's like for me, if I cannot mentally, like
Mhm.
mentally get a grasp on what I am feeling, I feel insane.
Right.
So
Perfect.
yeah, for some of us, that is like a really needed
Yeah, I
tool.
mean, I listen, I think it should be a needed tool for everybody, but I'm an air sign sun, so maybe
There
there
you
you
go.
go. But like,
Maybe these are just air sign
there
problems.
you go. Like, but it could be an air sign thing, but I do think language is important. I think talking about these difficult subjects are important, whether it's, hopefully there are many people that are watching or watch a replay that have no part of financial
Yeah.
abuse. And maybe they just, whatever it is, their stories around money, they need a way to, a great framework and a guidebook and a framework and a way of empowering yourself to look at your finances, to lay it all out on the table, and then start to make some really smart goals for yourself.
And bring your magic with you,
Yeah,
right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, I love this magical,
right,
beautiful world, and now I have to go do this like dreary, ugly
right.
thing.
It's really fun because, like, for example, like I'm I'm on step 4, and in the very beginning, it's all the money magic allies. So, you have the correspondences, the astrological role model being Virgo, which is what we're in right now, at least for a few more days. The crystal friends, clear quartz, and my God, Andalusite, which I think is Andalusite, another name for chastolite, or it's the one with the cross.
Yeah.
It might be another word for a chastolite. Somebody should go Google it and keep me honest.
Cool. Yeah.
And then
You're
the
much more
Chinese
of a
tarot.
crystal queen than me, but the cross, I was like, yes, the
Yeah,
cross, I remember that.
I'm thinking that's what it is. And then for the tarot cards, the Chariot and the High Priestess, the little tarot reading, and then different herbs to have a cup of tea. I love the ideas of like yarrow, mugwort, chamomile to help strengthen intuition. So like you could still do your magic witchy vibes while you're working through these exercises to get clear. So then again, getting super intentional, not just being like, I'm gonna set my intention and, you know, buy the citrine and, you know, get a check for $2,000. Come on, if it worked, we'd all be doing it. And I wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't all be having these conversations and like being honest with you. Like, please don't.
You have to do, we're back to that 3 angles of healing. Yes, the magical energetic, but also the spiritual and also the logistical practical. And the reminder the other way that it's not just the logistical practical. Also have to dig into the feelings part.
Yeah.
And don't forget that you have this powerful magical force. So it's like, you know, sprinkle some of that on it. You know, with that magical intention, like put your power into it because you have all kinds of power.
Right. And listen, the world is pretty scary. What's going on in the world is scary. You know, I think like, you know, just the world. I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to be 48 this year. I'm like, there you go. I'm so much older. But you know, like the world of our childhood was very different. And just like looking at the numbers now and just like, you know, I feel for people that are like struggling, interest rates are high to buy a house. The food prices are crazy. Like it's scary out there. The student loan crisis, it's scary. It's scary. And again, digging into that emotional piece, there are a lot of things to get nervous about, but recognizing that we do have the magical, we can feel into the feelings, but then do our work with all of that. I just love it. I love you so much. Let me ask you a question. Your cult, can people still join your cult? Or
Absolutely.
Do you have
yeah, you can join at any time. I periodically run like, you know, little sale pop-ups or things like that. So there's always like these, you know, hot button moments to join, but it's open. Our doors are open at any time. And it's called Money Coven. So if you go on my website, which is just moneywitch.com, you'll find it, Money Coven. And the way we do work in there is we work through I call them portals to financial healing. So I have 6 of them and we do them in order, just 1 per month because we're not getting overwhelmed. We don't have to do everything at the same time, right? So we focus on 1 and then we go again, right? So I'd say it's a spiralic healing container because it's like, okay, we're working on this topic. Like right now we're in our financial literacy month. And, you know, that this is September. Some of us also did financial literacy in March. So for those people, I'm like, hey, how did it feel in March? How does it feel different now? Because after 6 months of working with these things, it is going to feel different.
Right.
And at the end of the month, I get to say, put this down. Don't feel like you have to keep doing it because we're going to come back to it. So the point is anytime is a good time to join because wherever you hop on the train, like it'll go back around and you'll see everything.
Perfect. So I want to be mindful of your time. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm going to upload this to Instagram and add you as a collaborator so you could share it as well. You guys, Money Witch is available at our website, which is shop.amityvilleapothecary.com. It's available for purchase. Join the Money Coven. Go check out moneywitch.com. There, like Jessie said, there's the free resource that you said. If anybody wants more information on financial abuse, like thank you so much. It was such a great talk, and I can't wait to finish. I really.
I know. Thank you for reading. Thank you for the invitation. I love a New York girl, and maybe next time I come out to the area, I'll come.
The invitation is always open for you to breeze on through. We'd love to have you anytime.
Wonderful.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.